Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 98th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. It's the usual 31k rules, and the team that I'm in today consists of Brotherhood member Talos, who has bought the Rome Julii faction, myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought the Rome Scipii faction, and Brotherhood member Gladius, who has also bought the Rome Scipii faction. So there's our team there, full of experienced players, but you wait till you see the other team. I think this will be a great battle for you to watch, and unusual too. And here is that other team. We have COH Phlegathon, who has bought the Rome Brutii faction. Then we have Heaven's clan member Mohammed, but of course he is now in the Titans clan. And then we have RTW player Hannibal Barker, who I believe is also in a clan now. So that's the other team, full of great players, and I think, as I said earlier, this should be a good game to watch. At this early stage of the battle, I thought I'd show you an overall panoramic view of all the army's positions here on the battlefield. As you can see on our left flank, there's Talos facing SBQR. My army is in the centre, facing the Macedon. If you notice, I've got still got pilot shield units in open order in front of my main battle line, even though I'm facing Macedon. And the reason for that is because he'll have his Rome allies on either side of him, who can still obviously throw their pilots in to my army. So I still keep the open order units there. As you can see over on our right there, you can see that all the armies now are squaring up to each other here. If you can see, there's the archer battle starting. You can see that the Macedon, Cretan archers have moved out to the left, and that was with a view of shooting our units in the flank. If you notice from that angle, you can see that if he fires arrows, actually he can shoot units that have their flank to them there. If you notice, my units there would be hitting the flank. So I've actually bought a couple of archer units to kind of counter the Macedon archers there. Unusual these days for me to bring archer units to the battlefield, but I thought it was a good move to try and neutralise those Macedon Cretan archers there. So once again, there's the overall picture of the battlefield. If you notice, Talos here is moving some infantry out a little bit further to his left here, probably with a view to try and turn the SBQR army inwards to face outwards there. But whether the SBQR general would do that or not, I'm not sure at this time. Depends on how far and how far round Talos will go. If you notice there, you might have seen his cavalry come out of the long grass there. They were hiding in the long grass, and as they move, they obviously come into view there. You see over on our left flank here, the enemy Brutii units are going a little bit wide, coming a little bit wide round to the left here. I'm just wondering whether there's a tactic involved. Wonder what he's thinking he's going to do next there. As you can see in the centre, the Macedon pikemen have moved forward a little bit towards my army. Meanwhile, over on our left flank there, you can see that Talos is taking his army quite wide, probably with a view to possibly going around the flank even more there to turn that SBQR army inwards. And as you see, the SBQR army has turned inwards a little bit there. And if you notice in the centre there, I've run my pilot shield units forward, and now this is going to engage the Macedon pilot shield unit that's in front of their main battle line, and now I'm going to just send in loads of pilots into their main battle line. If you see this unit on the end here, it's been quite decimated by pilot hits. all pike units, except for say Spartans, are pretty susceptible to pilot damage and seem to suffer a lot of casualties from them. As you can see, Talos is moving around here, but can you see the danger of the SBQR cavalry there out to our far left? And if you notice, Talos is moving his cavalry out there with infantry support, almost asking for the SBQR cavalry to charge into him because he's got his cavalry and infantry there. But if he's not careful, if he moves too far round and the SBQR cavalry attacks, then the SBQR army will have the advantage, because if you notice, they'll be able to run infantry units over a lot easier to the fray at that particular part of the battlefield than it will be for Talos to get infantry support over. You see that's a massive cavalry hit there by the enemy SBQR cavalry. If you notice there that Talos is counter-attacking with his cavalry, I would think he's going to bring some infantry units over to support. But can you see how the SBQR infantry now can just got to move a short distance to get into that particular part of the fray? Can you see the enemy Macedon cavalry charging in to help their ally? That's a good bit of teamwork there by the enemy team. You see Talos is coming over with his infantry to support his cavalry and his fighting infantry there. If you notice though that Talos has got his general in the fray there, and as those of you that have watched other battle videos of mine will know that if the general is killed, then obviously the morale of the troops will drop dramatically. So I hope that his general manages to stay alive. If you see, I've brought my cavalry over, got 5 units of Praetorian cavalry I've just charged in to help Talos. And if you see, Gladius is also bringing cavalry over to the flank as well. I think when Talos attacked, he attacked so quickly we kind of didn't get a chance to kind of get our cavalry over in time to be able to help him as much as we'd like to. But if you notice now, a lot of the enemy cavalry and some of the enemy infantry is starting to rout now. If you notice, there's some enemy Brutii cavalry have just charged in to help their ally there. So it's all kicked off here on our left flank. As you can see, Talos is bringing more infantry over to throw into the fray. You see the Macedon cavalry, if you notice, they pulled back, rallied, and then attacked again for the full cavalry charge bonus there. And if you notice, a lot of my cavalry there got routed, and that was a nice little cavalry charge there. If you notice now that Macedon, the enemy Macedon general, is now bringing over pike units to the left flank to reinforce their flank there. Meanwhile, over on our far right flank, you can see that the enemy Brutii infantry have done a right flanking movement there. And if you notice, our ally, Scipii ally, is now moving his infantry over to the left. So there's a general overall picture of the battle that's happening so far. You can see the Macedon cavalry charging into the our Scipii cavalry there, and it looks to me that on our left things are not looking that good for us. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the game here for us to take stock of the situation. As you see on our left flank here, most of our allies' Julii infantry have been routed. I think there's only a few units of our allies' Julii infantry left, and a lot of those are battle damage. If you notice that Macedon has sent some units over, as I said earlier, to support the enemy team on this flank. As you see, you've got Macedon cavalry and enemy Brutii cavalry actually behind our infantry now. So things are not looking that good for us. Over on the right flank here, you can see that Gladius has got some of his units behind my main army, but at the moment my main army is trying to hold the Brutii, enemy Brutii, to stop them coming over to the other flank. That's the plan there, is to try and hold them up, and also to try and hold up some of those Macedon units that are there as well. Hopefully just giving time for Gladius to maybe get his infantry over to the other flank, where we might be able to turn things around a little bit. As you can see now, our left flank is in pretty bad state at the moment there, and things are not looking very good for us there. As you see, Gladius is bringing his infantry across to this left flank now, as well as having his cavalry over here as well. So that's good support over on the left flank here, as obviously that's where the pressure was. We were feeling the pressure the most there, and you can see a lot of the enemy units are starting to rout now. So with the now, it wouldn't surprise me. See that Macedon cavalry charging on? It wouldn't surprise me if they started to rout now, because if you notice, they actually ran in to routing allies there, and that will lower their morale. So I wouldn't think that Macedon cavalry would stand very long to fight. And as you can see, they're starting to rout now, and that's with the weight of Gladius's cavalry and infantry has moved over to the left. So as I say, the left flank wasn't looking very good for us, so now maybe it might start picking up a bit for us. As you can see, the bulk of my main army is still over here on the right, trying to hold up Brutii army to stop them getting any units round behind us. But also I would like to hold up some of those Macedon units that are there as well, to stop them going over to our left. If you notice, Gladius has got some of his units just behind my my army there. Now here's something interesting. Can you see that the enemy Macedon general there has brought his pike units across? And now what he would like us to attack his pike units head on. Those of you that has watched my other battle videos know that pike generals really like Roman troops to attack them head on, because it's very difficult for Roman infantry to break through those long pikes. Meanwhile, over on our right here, you can see that the enemy Brutii infantry have moved round a little bit there in an attempt to get round behind us and onto the flank. As I say, going back to the Macedon general, it wouldn't surprise me if he started to set up some kind of defensive formation over on that left flank, as I say, hoping that we would attack his pikemen head on. But obviously I'm going to pause the game here for us to have a look at the situation. As you can see on our right here, the bulk of my army is still trying to hold up the enemy Brutii army there. As you see, we've got Macedon units involved in the centre. And over on our left here, can you see how the Macedon general is stretching his units around? He doesn't, obviously, as we know, that the weak parts of a pike unit is its flank and its rear. So what he's going to do is going to try and set up a defensive formation there that's not going to expose his flank or his rear. And you can see that over there. Be interesting to see how this battle develops. As I say, at the moment, what I'm really concerned about is just holding up this enemy Brutii army here on the right, just to try and keep them out of the fray as much as I can, and seem to be managing to do that. As you can see, our ally there is attacking the pike units head on there. Can you see how he's charged his Roman infantry into attacking the pike units head on? Now here's a shot. Can you see how long those pikes are? And of course Roman infantry have got to fight down those pikes to be able to get to the enemy infantry on the other end of the pikes. So it is very difficult for Roman infantry to do that. And now the Macedon general knows this, and if you notice how he's bringing his formation round, so that all the units, all his pike units are linked together, so there's no chance of Roman infantry getting to the flanks. And what he'll try and do is try and make sure that our Roman infantry can't get round their rear either. Now, there's a few battle damaged Talos' Julii infantry that's got behind the Macedons there, but the units are so battle damaged I'm not sure how effective they would be. Meanwhile, over on our left, can you see how the Brutii general has put a couple of units behind his main fighting infantry there to protect the rear of his infantry, seeing our allies' cavalry coming round behind him. So over here on our right, things are not looking too bad for us here, especially with our cavalry getting behind that fighting Brutii infantry. If you notice that the Brutii infantry is pulling back because it sees the threat of the cavalry. So what I'm going to try and do is attack with my infantry, try and engage that Brutii infantry, so that then we may be able to get cavalry in behind to smash into them. Now over here, can you see that our Scipii ally is attacking the pike units head on? And do you remember where you've seen my other battle videos where I said that's exactly what a pike general wants a Roman general to do, is attack his pikes head on. And that's exactly what we're kind of doing there. And that's just what the pike general wants. Meanwhile, over on our right, you can see that I think things are probably going our way a little bit over here on the right. The Brutii general there has lost several units. We've got cavalry over there. We've got some of Talos's Julii infantry coming over there as well. So things are not looking too bad for us on this right flank. But as I say, I think this battle looks like it could go on the toss of a coin here. It's so close. I think it will be very close. But as you can see here, the two armies there on the right are really fighting it out. But what's worrying me is that our ally here is still attacking pike units head on. And if you notice at the back of that defensive formation, can you see there are fresh pike units just stood there now? And they're fresh, ready for the battle. And all you have to do is turn those pike units onto the tired Roman troops that are trying to fight through pikes. And it wouldn't surprise me if, unfortunately, if our allies' army starts to rout at this stage. There, can you see some of our allies' Scipii infantry starting to rout? There, if you notice now, it's going to probably cause a chain rout, and there you go. There's all our allies' infantry now has routed. And new players watching this, it's just to make a note of, please, don't attack pike units head on unless you've got a plan to hold them where you get units in behind the flank or the rear. Okay, so the enemy pike army, Macedon army, has won over on that flank and is now bringing reinforcements over to help his ally over on our right flank here. If you notice that Talos with his Julii infantry have noticed that the enemy are coming across, so he's going to turn his infantry to face them to try and hold them off, hopefully giving me time to maybe take out the Brutii, the enemy Brutii infantry there. As you see, things are pretty well on the knife edge at the moment, but I think with those fresh Macedon pikemen coming across, this could kind of turn the battle here. Talos is doing really good at trying to hold those pike units up to stop them coming in the rear of my my infantry there, as I'm trying to combat the enemy Brutii infantry. Yeah, as you see, as the actual Macedon pikemen start pushing in slowly, they always remind me of when pike units move slowly with their pikes down. They remind me of like a slow-moving steamroller. They almost kind of go over or crush anything that's in front of them. And at this stage of battle, our armies are so battle damaged that I'm not sure how long we'll be able to hold out against those pikes. If you notice, Talos has got some very battle damaged infantry in behind the Macedon infantry there. See the Julii infantry there? But they are extremely battle damaged, so I'm not sure how well they would do. Just going to pause the game here. Just to ask viewers watching this, which way do you reckon this game's going to go? Do you think, we've got Julii infantry in behind the Macedon infantry. We've still got a few of our units left, and the enemy's still got a few of their units left. There's a small little mini battle going off at the rear there. But looking at the overall picture, I just wonder, the viewers watching this, which way do you reckon this battle is going to go? If you notice, I've still got my general, so I'm still giving general morale bonus to my troops. So I think whichever way this battle is going to go, it's going to be extremely close. Let's see what happens. Here, can you see that Cretan archer unit being brought in behind us? And that's a nice little move by the Macedon general there. Bang! Straight in behind my general. The Macedon archer units are pretty good infantry, and it wouldn't. There you go. That Macedon Cretan archer unit just killed my general there. And if you notice, almost straight away, several of my units have started to rout. But it's still ongoing. Can you see some of the Macedon units are starting to rout as well now? There you are. Some of the Macedon units starting to rout. But if you notice now that there you are, I think basically all my army has just routed there. The general being killed really made a difference there. New players watching this, do you remember what I said to you about making sure that you try and keep your general alive to give morale to your troops? But once he's dead, you can see what happened to my infantry there. They started to kind of just cave in and rout there. There's still some of Talos's Julii infantry left, if you notice there. But with the Macedon units with their pikes down, just slowly moving forward, I think they'll... yeah, there you go, and they've actually just won the day there. So
your allies are no friends of Rome.
That was a great battle to be in there, and I thought it was quite a close battle as well. As you can see how many dead there are on the battlefield from one side to the other. As you can see, I think there's masses of cavalry dead there, as well as infantry from this one flank right over to the other there. First thing I'd like to say is really well played to the other team. There are some great moves and some really great charges that went in there. And also, any new players watching this, if you notice that, that one of the losing teams got the highest kills, so it doesn't necessarily mean that because you get the highest kills your team wins the battle, and you know, it's reasonably unusual for that to happen. So any new players watching this, I thought this was a good example to show you of that. But also, did you notice also that bit where a Roman general was using his infantry to attack pikes head on? And I'm really glad that you saw that, because you saw what happened. Even though he was attacking those pikes ferociously with his infantry, in the end they suffered so many casualties that the Romans just actually routed. So remember, try not to attack pike units head on unless you've got a plan to get other units round behind their flank or their rear. Once again, really well played to the other team, and really well played to Talos and Gladius in my team. I thought everybody played well. This Spartan commander saying, hope you enjoyed the battle, look forward to seeing you soon, and bye for now.